She knew you'd come.
Where's Renfrey?
She's at the tower with your little friend, Marilka.
She gave us a message to pass on to you. You have to choose the lesser evil.
It's an ultimatum. Get it?
Fuck.
The fantasy genre is one of the most popular genres of all, having the chance to attract you into a world of magic with beautiful worlds and stories, with dragons, elves, fairies, and so many other things. The fantasy is the one thing that can make you disconnect from the real world entirely and give you a chance of relaxation. With fantasy, we take a connection from the very beginning with the stories that were told to us by our parents when we were kids. Out there are so many fantasy universes created by different authors. The most popular one is Tolkien's Middle-earth, followed by the rest of the stories like Narnia, His Dark Materials, and apparently Game of Thrones too. But after Tolkien's stories, the most popular one, at least recently, and in my opinion, is the story of The Witcher. The Witcher initially appeared in a series of books and short stories written by Andrzej Sapkowski in the 1990s. The books were quite popular on their own, but their popularity grew instantly with a series of 3 video games that were released, enlarged and evolved the series to something new. So naturally, due to the huge popularity, a TV series or a film will be made someday to present those stories in another format. So in 2019, Netflix released the first season of The Witcher, a TV series starring Henry Cavill which was based on the first 2 novels of the book series, The Last Wish and The Sword of Destiny. The story of the series is about this man called Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher, a mutant trained to deal with monsters and other magical issues, who has to be independent and who has not to take a side in a conflict. But look at how I'm trying to present the story of The Witcher. The story doesn't need a presentation. The adventures of this man in a world of magic, turmoiled by a great war, with elves, dragons and other magical creatures, with witches and sorcerers, and with a young princess that is hunted and desired by the evil emperor, a princess that it happens to be tied by the Witcher's destiny. Like I said, the story of the first season is based on the first 2 novels of the series, which means that it will not be a 100% adaptation of what really is in the novel. The first 2 novels are a collection of short stories, so it is pretty easy to adapt them as episodes into a TV series. What is really interesting about how Netflix did it, and now I'm really starting to talk about the series and its content, is how they present the main characters. There are 3 main characters into the story, and I'm talking about Geralt, the titular character, about Yennefer, a sorceress that will get in Geralt's life at one point, and Ciri, the princess that everyone wants to find and which is connected with Geralt's destiny. Now, I'm not gonna talk too much as a person who knows the original content of the novels, and I'm gonna try to fix my ideas on the series, but I have to say from the get-go that it's very confusing the way they presented their stories. What the creators tried to make was to combine 3 different timelines with events that take place in different places and different times in an interesting and in a dynamic way, but honestly it's a little confusing. I mean, it is an interesting idea to present 3 main stories at the same time, but somehow they didn't tell you that the situation is not connected with what you previously saw, with another character or another event. But leaving that aside for the moment, a thing that I like about this series is how they represented the characters in a way that it can be familiar and friendly with both the ones who know about the novels and games, but also with a new audience. And it is an obvious move to present in the first episode a story about the titular character. It's logical to present a concept of how the people are seeing Geralt, how you can present in one episode the morals and beliefs of a character with a single situation, of how people can use Geralt and then turn against him. This is an interesting method because you don't present only the main character, but you present the hostile world that is in this story, of how easy people can turn on you if you try to do something good and then they attack you because they see you as a threat thanks to some sleazy words and because you are so different than them. It gives you a feeling about reality with this detail. After that, the series start to add new characters important to the story, like Yennefer with her problems, with what she had to sacrifice in order to become someone and to find her purpose, but it also presents the way she was used by others for their purpose and how she becomes what she is today. It introduces Ciri and tells you her story. It shows you her life at the royal court and then her experiences on the battlefield, on the refugee camps. It tells you about her purpose and destiny. Sure, these are great elements into the series story because with those elements you can relate to the characters better, you can feel their experiences and feelings in a unique way, you can see them evolve, becoming who they are supposed to be. But somehow the way they connected the characters was confusing, and no, I'm not talking about the events or the dialogue, I'm talking about the editing part. The series gives you 3 main timelines, it tells you 3 stories at the same time, but it does not tell you that they are taking place at a different time. This thing you realize it only after 5 or 6 episodes when characters are starting to meet with each other. It is not totally a bad thing, it could have been made better, but if I'm thinking now strictly from the point of view of someone who read the novels, the same thing kinda happens in the novels too. Well, at least in the ones made from short stories. In the novels, you kinda realize when a story takes place before a certain event. You realize it if you read through it and pay attention to the events. Sapkowski takes this liberty to write the novels in a way to reveal step-by-step details about characters. So, coincidentally enough, the series took this concept from the novels, this cinematic style to intertwine stories in order to give a dynamic way to the series. It could have done it better? Sure, no doubt about that. I think that after all, if you can understand the series plot and you become familiar with it, everything is okay and good to go. There are other characters that enlarge the world and the story of The Witcher. You have Jaskier, the bard companion of Geralt, which is a comic relief every time you see him on screen. You have Calante, which is a stubborn one, but somehow her stubbornness is what causes some situations for our main characters. And you have sorcerers like Triss Merigold, Tissaia de Vries, and Istred. The world of The Witcher is a vast one. There are a lot of characters that have a purpose one way or another into the story. So, for 8 episodes in this season, the producers did their best to present every single important character in a unique and a clear way. If I am thinking about different moments from the series, I can definitely remember a character that did something or waved a hand in a certain way that remained in your head somehow. Well, I remember the characters by their actions, but somehow I do not remember their names, well, not at the first try. What I'm trying to say is that the series dealt with the side characters and presented them in a way that you can know them, you can recognize them by some details, even if they were present for like a minute on screen. And that's because every character is connected somehow with another character, and yet it is unique in its own way. Every action has a role in the whole story, and the way they act is an important detail for another character's adventure. But there is one character that takes all the lights when he is on stage, to say it like this, and I'm talking about Jaskier. His character is so dynamic, so fresh, so out of this world. The way it is represented somehow makes the series more interesting. It's that one character that is not totally serious, that is exploring the world of Geralt to discover new adventures and new stories. For most of the part, Jaskier can take the role of the viewer, of the fan that truly desires to take a walk with the Witcher on dirty roads and see him fighting in all those adventures. And what makes Jaskier stand in its own way in the world of the Witcher as a comic character and yet as an audience character? His personality, his charm, I think it's everything about him. In a way, Jaskier knows how to be in a story, in a context. He knows how to show you what is important in the story, he knows how Geralt can react, and in many ways he knows his role in the whole situation. Jaskier is that friend that can tell you a story about an adventure that is not that important, but his way of storytelling makes the story a whole lot better. I'm not saying that the 3 main characters are not so special, because they are more special than you know. Each has its own personality that makes them unique and makes you get attached to them. Geralt is a complicated man, a man drawn into this world of anger, of hate and battle. All he does is to do his job and to survive. He is a man who is supposed to get rid of evil, but evil is not always represented by monsters and magic. So Geralt has to deal with any situation that can make him be a bad guy. He has his own moral code that apparently is the right choice in the situations that he faces. Yennefer, well, Yennefer is complicated. You see her evolution from a nobody to a great witch, you see with who she dealt and what she dealt with, you can understand her opinion about the world and the reason of her actions, you can see why she is so selfish and wants to be strong, to not suffer, to be her again. And Ciri's story is not as complicated as it seems, but what makes it special is her way to experience it. A young girl, always protected by others, thrown into this situation of instant survival. Now she has to survive on her own, to learn to define good from bad, to make decisions based on her instinct, even if she tries to find Geralt because she is connected to him through destiny. Watching the series, you may feel that those characters are somehow outcasts in their own world. They don't fit alone to survive, so to say it elegantly, those three characters are somehow destined to experience all those phases of humanity, and those experiences will make them get closer to each other. It is not random acts nor magic that will bring those characters together. To keep it as a pun to the series, it's destiny that brings them together. The world of The Witcher is represented pretty well into this adaptation in my opinion. I mean, for a TV series it is pretty good. The series presents to you as a viewer different views regarding how people are seeing the different people like witchers or sorcerers, regarding the political conflict, regarding the beliefs of the people, and it does that through the eyes of all the characters. Through the eyes of Ciri, you can see how the world is turning on you because they see an opportunity to save themselves. Through the eyes of Yennefer, you see how the people are using you as a tool, how someone can betray you and how insignificant you are for someone. And through the eyes of Geralt, you see everything that is presented to any character and even more. You see betrayal, you see manipulation, conflict, lies, greed, interest that will benefit one man or another. Well, after all, the series is based on those things. Geralt as a character is different and he's dealing with all those issues at every step. So the series is presenting this thing as something different and new for the viewers? I don't think so. I don't like to make comparisons with the novels because I want to understand the entire show as its own entity, but I think that the TV series toned down all those feelings regarding this subject. I kinda wanted to be more into the lore, but on the other hand, I get it why they presented it like this. Probably is a good thing. Who knows, maybe. Maybe it will present more of those situations into the future seasons. Anyway, now speaking only about the series, it's a good thing that this season is a short one. 8 episodes is in my opinion the perfect number to tell a pretty well developed story, but also to not tell it way too slow or very fast. I like the fact that the series has presented the characters with a background story for them in order to make the viewer relate with them, to like them. I like the idea that technically the series is presenting 3 worlds, to say it like this, 3 worlds that cannot coexist without each other. And I'm talking about magic, war, and the world of The Witcher. There are some good ideas that make the story more logical if you put it in the format of a TV series, like a background story for Yennefer, or the Battle of Sodden Hill that is like a legend into the novels, if I remember correctly. But there are some bad elements too. Sometimes I feel like Yennefer's story is a bad romantic story, or that Ciri's story is more slow-paced than originally had to be. Another thing that was a bad thing in my opinion was Ciri's age, because her age is very important to the development of her character and of her journey. What saves from time to time the dynamic of the series is the way the actors are acting. Jaskier's jokes, Geralt's sarcastic comments, sometimes Yennefer's serious moments, and the fight scenes. There are good things in this series that can make you enjoy the story, even if you are a hardcore fan of the novels or you are a newcomer to the Witcher universe and want to enjoy an interesting story. But there are so many bad things, and I will not talk about the fact that some characters are not, let's say, not represented properly like in the novels regarding their looks or some of their motivations. I mean, it's Netflix. You kinda realize that when they announce the series that they will not respect the original content entirely. I will not talk about those things because as a man who read the novels I was, oh, it doesn't look like that, it's not their direction. Huh, damn it. But as a viewer, I try to accept it, to view all those changes with an interesting eye, but somehow it doesn't fit. I'm not the one to judge, to say it's wrong or it's right what they did. I'm just saying that this is a different presentation. It's their choice. Now, the choice work for them? Some say yes, some say no. To me, it was just a thing that I realized it why they did it and I went along with it because I wanted to see how they will make Geralt's story interesting and how they will adapt to the stories from the novels. I'm not a fan of all of the changes. Some I can accept, some I can't. I just care for the way they made it, and to me, if they succeeded to adapt like half of it correctly, then I can accept it somehow. From the point of view of the cinematography, I have to say from the get-go that the series is pretty well made. The way it is filmed is clean, having shots that make you feel like you watch a fantasy story. They are elegant, which is a nice addition to the content. The choreography of the fights is incredibly insane. The way it is filmed, that it is made, it's so dynamic. Whoever made the choreography of the fights, he knew how to make you believe how great Geralt is when he is in a conflict. The way it is edited and the soundtrack helps a lot too. It has something special that makes you want to watch the story somehow. The special effects, well, they are okay. Even if it is a TV series, well, a web series, They made the monsters look good, the use of magic is credible, I don't have issues here. Regarding the cinematography, I really don't have an issue. It is made okay, filmed okay, the fights are great, the soundtrack is good. The series is an up for me regarding this. Somehow, even if it is well made and the story is a little bit with flaws, there is a thing that makes the series stand on its own, and that is the way the actors act. I mean, come on, the way Henry Cavill plays Geralt is so credible, it makes you recognize Geralt, to like him. It reminds me of Geralt from the video games. And yes, I know that Henry Cavill took inspiration from the video game version and he is a great fan of the series. You can feel that from the way he acts. You can sense that he likes to play The Witcher. Joey Bates's version of Jaskier is so accurate to the novels. He is funny, he gets in a lot of trouble, just like in the books. And his songs. For some viewers, the only reason they watched the show was because of the song. Let's face it, it was a moment sometime when one of us sang "Toss a Coin to Your Witcher." The song is so addictive that you may say that the rest of the series doesn't even matter. Just this song. Regarding the other characters like Yennefer played by Anya Kalotra and Ciri played by Freya Allen, they are played okay. I mean, like I said, the series is an adaptation of the original stories, so for their versions of Yennefer and Ciri, I think they did a good job. Yennefer's story was credible in a way, Ciri's path was logical most of the time, the producer presented those characters in a way that you can relate to them and understand them, and it worked in a way for some elements. Still, for what the first season presented, I think that you as a viewer have a lot of information to relate with all the characters and understand them, understand their desires and their means. The series had a lot of success when it appeared. Based on the popularity of the novels and of the games, The Witcher hit perfectly on a market that was relieved by the end of another series called Game of Thrones. I didn't get that show. Anyway, I don't say the first season is perfect. It introduces the characters in an interesting way, it has a lot of action, but it has a lot of flaws. Some of you may have an issue with what is presented as a story, some of you may not, but I take it like this. It's an alternate story. An what-if scenario, if I can name it like that. It has the story from the novels, most of it, but it's told differently. It's someone's vision of the story. I don't mind it. And hey, if I don't like the series, I can always have the novels and the games. So the first season of The Witcher is a nice story? To me, most of it is. I enjoyed it, it was fun, it was catchy. If you want to enjoy a Witcher-inspired story for the sake of your passion for the series, I think it is a good thing to know about it. It has its magic after all. With gorgeous songs and funny moments, to me this series brought to life a little about the story of Geralt. In the end, you might wanna, toss a coin to your Witcher and go on an adventure with your favorite White Wolf. It's easier to unravel its world through a TV show. I don't know what to say anymore about the series. Probably I wanna rewatch it again. Yeah, probably I will do that. Anyway, I will finish just like Geralt would say when he goes in his adventures, with a simple "Let's go Roach."